Saturday Social, brought to you by EA Sports FC with PlayStation 5.
We've got an ex-England player in the studio, so we're going to talk about England, Joe. What's the plan?
Yeah, it's international break, isn't it? So we have to, really. The guests have all got their whiteboards out in front of them. Me and Smithy are going to read out a bunch of statements. They're going to write down an answer, and a little bit of debate is going to be caused in the room. I think it's fair to say. You got the first one?
Yes, I have. The first one we're asking is, who is England's best left winger? It is a position England are quite blessed with, of course, lots of talent. And this is another one we see a lot of debate with on social media.
I need to ask you something.
Oh, hello.
Best player or most effective?
Whatever you
want. Just write a name down. Get off the fence, Joe.
Yeah.
Write a name down. Come on.
Do the right thing, Jay.
What you know.
Who you would start left wing if you were Gareth Southgate?
God, Jay, it's a lot of time.
Oh, wow.
Right, here we go.
Okay.
Okay, Jay's writing it down. So we will reveal your answer in 3, 2, 1, go. Or complete disagreement. Rashford, Grealish and Foden. Jay, I'll come to you first because you thought about that a lot. So what was the thought process?
I thought about Grealish, to be honest. I did think about Grealish because I like him, technically very good. And he's played really well when he's played for England. But I went for Rashford because I just think he's a threat all the time over the top. And with his game recently, I've started to see more intelligence. Like, he's playing through balls, he's getting more people involved in the game. He can dribble really well. For me, I would put him on the left first.
Do you think that complements the formation England play? Because obviously you're going to play Kane in the middle and Saka on the other side. So playing pace either side of Kane, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, because I think Kane, you've seen his game now as he's evolved as a player. He drops in as well.
Yeah.
So when he's dropping deep, you need people that can run in behind as well. As much as I think Grealish is a great player, I would put Rashford there for that reason.
Grealish, you've gone with Specs?
Yeah, I've
Another
gone
top
with
player,
Grealish.
of course.
Again, we're talking about a player that's won, the league and the Champions League. So that mentality is key. I think bringing pace off the bench for England is better.
Okay.
Because it changes the game later on. But I just think on the ball, you said dribbling, I think on the ball, I'd prefer Grealish because it's more like controlling the game.
For me, I'm just thinking as a fullback, I'd prefer to have Grealish defend against Grealish than Rashford. Because Rashford can just knock it past you. And then he comes in, he's got good feet as well.
So did Southgate get it wrong not starting Rashford at the World Cup?
Yeah, I think he did, yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I wouldn't agree with that so much. I think Foden had a great World Cup. He dipped at the back end of last year. I think that's undoubted. But he's still been a key part of a City side. I think he's now won 5 Premier League titles. And he's, 23, 24? It's pretty remarkable. Rashford is the closest I was next going to because of that threat in behind. With Kane dropping deep, I think that is really useful. But Foden, I think he's the most naturally gifted out of these 3.
But do you know, I think Foden... For me, Foden's like a number 10 or an 8 where he gets forward. I mean, even when he plays on the right, I think he's more effective than on the left because I think on the left, he's just putting crosses in, whereas on the right, he can come inside and join in like he's been doing this season. He's been fantastic. But I don't see Foden as a left winger.
I remember that hat-trick he scored against United last season came off the left. And he can, you're right, he can play in a variety of positions, but I just think we need to start making sure that he's in the side because I think he is England's 100%. Most naturally talented.
You'd agree with that?
You'd
start him?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe as part of a midfield three. We're going to come on to that question a little bit later. Topic number 2, though, is Jude Bellingham a future England captain?
A lot of admin work with the boards.
Just
here,
a yes or a no here.
There's
no debate, nothing. There's no reasoning, just yes
or
no.
And then we'll ask you your reasoning once you've written your off-the-fence statement down. Is he a future England captain, yes or no?
Right, got to push you.
OK. Specs is writing an essay down there. It's only
it's either yes or no, Specs.
Said he can't spell it earlier.
All right, 3, 2, 1, reveal.
Oh
no, Specs,
gone with
turn your board around. What's happening over
Specs
here?
is still working.
I changed my mind.
Yes.
Wow,
Why
okay.
no, man?
I think he's an amazing player, but I think Declan Rice is the more natural leader. I think he's a calmer head than Jude Bellingham. I think Jude Bellingham gets himself in all sorts of scraps. He was, criticising some of his teammates at Dortmund last year. He called Nico Schultz rubbish, or another word for rubbish that we can't say on air. And I think he's got an element of antagonism about him, which he's younger than Declan Rice as well. I think Declan Rice has got more experience, calmer head, slightly better with the media as well, at the moment as well.
Why have you underlined it?
Yeah, I would say that as well. I think Declan.
So you agree with Dougie, Declan Rice ahead of?
Yeah,
Jude?
but I think Bellingham should be, but I think Declan Rice ticks more boxes. I think he fits the demographic more. He's a hard-working midfielder, and I think for England generally, our captains have been that.
But is that what Bellingham is? A hard-working midfielder who can even get forward a little bit in the Gerrard?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I really like Bellingham. I think he plays with a real maturity. He scores goals, he gets back, he's industrious, he can pass, he can dribble. But I think Declan Rice fits, England captaincy more. So I think it will be Declan Rice.
Yeah, he has no Champions League experience yet. This guy's got Champions League. He's playing at Real Madrid. That's the guy I want to be listening to right now. Declan Rice maybe later on, but you know what? Declan Rice vice captain.
They're two good options.
Yeah, to be honest, I can't argue with it either or. But I think Bellingham should be. But I think Declan Rice will be.
Okay.
Okay.
We sometimes saw in the past as well, England captaincy, it kind of detracts from your own game as well at points. I think it did sometimes with Steven Gerrard. I think Declan Rice is a little bit of it doesn't matter so much. He's not as much of a difference maker as Bellingham, who we want to keep in peak form.
But as well, I think Rice has stepped into that mould as well at Arsenal. He's gone from that leader at West Ham, now he's stepped into that at Arsenal. I could even see him be an Arsenal captain at some point.
Okay, right, get rubbing so that you're not spending too much time revealing this time. Next one is, who is England's best right-back? Now, this is when everyone is fit, because we're aware that obviously
fully fit.
Everyone's fully fit. You've got all of them to choose from. So you've got your Reece James, your Trippiers, Kyle Walkers, Trent Alexander-Arnold, blessed with so many great players.
Probably our deepest position, weirdly, right-back, isn't it?
It's a similar one. Specs, are you okay?
It's hard. This is tough. It's tough.
Okay, go on, let's reveal who Dougie and Jay have gone with. Reece James, total agreement from you guys. Trippier. Okay, Specs, let's come to you first.
Free kicks.
That's it, just free kicks.
Do you remember that? Was it that World Cup?
Croatia.
Yeah. that.
But Trent can take free kicks. Reece James can take free kicks.
Yeah, but they ain't scored in these big occasions yet. Trippier for me, consistency. I think he's underrated, honestly.
Last season, was Trippier not the best right-back in the Prem?
Of course.
You said when everyone's fully fit, right?
Yeah.
Well, Reece James is not that a lot. Well, he hasn't been so far, but I think I like Reece James because he gets forward really well. If I'm being 100% honest, I think Trent on the ball is the best right-back, but he's not the best defender. But I don't think that Reece James is far from him attacking-wise, and I think he's a better defender. So for me, I will go Reece James.
None of you've said Kyle Walker, who's got 76 England caps.
Yeah.
And has been brilliant. So we can't have a debate where you've all just mentioned Trippier, Reece James and Trent and not mentioned Kyle. How come neither of you have gone?
I was thinking Kyle Walker, right centre-back.
Yeah, you could play that formation. I just think we're stronger in forward areas now. We don't need to play the five at the back. I think Walker, was a slight bit part player at City last year until the back end of the year. He's probably the best one-on-one defender, and I'd be very confident against him, say if we're playing Kylian Mbappe.
Exactly, when you're playing against, he's often shone in games like that, hasn't he?
I think in terms of who can do the most on the ball going forward, I'd have Reece James, I'd have Trippier, I'd have Trent above him.
Yeah.
You'd have all three above him?
No, I wouldn't have Trent above him.
So Trent would be your lowest selection in the right-back slot?
Yeah, because I think because he can't defend that well, I think he could be a liability. I think against the smaller teams, I would play him. But against someone like France, I wouldn't. I'd play Reece James ahead of him because I think Reece James is good defensively.
It's slightly over-egged his lack of defensive now, because obviously a lot of people make that into kind of this big
because he's
problem,
so good going forward.
Klopp put him in midfield at the back end of last year. I think that says it all, doesn't it?
But was that not just because of a shifting formation where he wanted to play as right back, like as an inverted kind of player? You know, we don't always see the best defenders, i.e. Zinchenko at Arsenal, a fabulous player, but not the best defender. He's used as an inverted role.
His big weakness, I think, is actually in the air. Like, teams like Brentford always target him at the back post, and he's not very good in the air. I don't think he's as bad as you say at defending, but he's not as good at Reece James. He's not as good as Trippier or Kyle Walker. Exactly, and he does slightly slip. Drift off at times. His concentration is slightly
different level though, Trent, isn't he? On the ball.
I said on the ball he's the best.
Until we get to midfield.
Free kicks, he can change sides, he gets forward well. He's a threat going forward, but I just think defensively, and he's still young enough. I think he can. He has to improve a lot for him to be deemed one of the best right backs in the world. Even.
Okay, brings us nice on to the next one because you mentioned that he has played in midfield as well.
Dougie, a little bit there.
He's played midfield for England as well. I think Malta, wasn't it, where he played in
a lot recently, a lot more recently. So it brings us on to the next one, doesn't it? Who should be in England's midfield three?
So three names.
Three names.
And obviously this goes to formation as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't expect there to be so many follow-up questions to this.
I think, we have seen England playing more of a 4 with a 3 in midfield recently, haven't we? He seems to have moved away from the 5 at the back to a level.
So presuming there's 3 in the middle, who would be your top choice?
So you're rubbing that?
Yeah.
Change your mind.
No.
I put pressure on you.
Go on, let's go to Dougie because he's written his.
Turn yours around.
So I've gone Bellingham on the left,
okay.
Rice as the holder and Trent in midfield. I don't think
You've got the
any
Trent in
other.
midfield.
Yeah, I don't think any other nation would be as worried about Trent's deficiencies. They would really try and maximise his skills. And he is the best English passer of a ball by a distance. I think he's probably the second best passer in the Premier League after Kevin De Bruyne. We've even seen in his poorer games this year, against Newcastle, for example, Anthony Gordon was giving him a really torrid time. He still provided an amazing pass, which went through to Salah, which went through to Nunes. Against Villa the other day, he was sort of picking the ball off of the centre-backs. He is a remarkable passer, which we have to find a way to get into this side. He could do damage to any side in world football. Bellingham and Rice pick themselves. You could also have Maddison.
Okay, let's reveal your two. Specs, reveal yours.
You put
Foden, Bellingham and Rice. Okay, Bellingham. Okay, so Jay and Dougie are actually sort of agreeing in the fact that you both want Foden in your team, but just in different positions, because you had Foden on the left, you want him through the middle, and you've got James Ward-Prowse not even in the England squad. Are you surprised about that, Specs?
I'm very surprised. Again, free kicks.
Free kicks.
You're a big fan of free kicks, by the way.
Corners.
It's not the NFL. You don't bring someone on to take free kicks.
Growing up watching football, especially playing here, like, you know, centre-back scoring from corners and stuff, that's our thing. Why are we not doing that anymore? Are we trying to play like everyone else?
Well, because you've got talents like Trent. No offence to James Ward-Prowse, he's obviously a great player and professional at West Ham, but like talents like Trent, Foden, and none of you said Maddison.
Yes, no one said Maddison at the start that he's had.
For me, I would. No, it's a tough one. But I think the way England play as a 4-3-3, I think that's why I've gone with Foden and Bellingham. If we was playing like 4-2-3-1, then I'd be more inclined probably to put Maddison in.
But he's playing as like an 8 now for Tottenham, isn't he? And alongside with Basuma as the 6.
Getting a lot of goals and assists early on.
Because Sarr and Basuma play.
But
so he plays further
They're
forward,
playing
doesn't he?
Sarr, Basuma and Maddison,
So you've got them two defensive players, and then you've got Maddison. For me, I want Foden and Bellingham purely for the fact that Foden's the most creative player, like you said, naturally gifted. He's got everything in his locker. Bellingham, again, he's box to box. He gets in the box, he scores a goal, but then he defends really well as well. So that's the reason why I've gone for that.
I just think Foden's I think he needs to be higher. Because in your formation, you're asking Foden to do defensive duties too.
But I think that would be his natural position, though.
I don't think I've seen Foden do defensive stuff in, his own half at City.
Does he have to be playing for City in that role to play for England in that role?
I think a lot of the teams, when you see a lot of the Premier League teams, they play 4-3-3 anyway. So for me, as much as he does play on the right for City, or he has done this year, I would like to see him in that position, which I think is more of his natural position than in the wide areas.
Okay, interesting debate. Last one we go to will be who will follow Gareth Southgate. That is if he moves on, of course. Obviously still England manager. But if he does move on, obviously there was
he's eventually going to.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to eventually not be the England manager. Who would you like to see as the next manager take over?
There's lots of options here as well. There's lots of people been linked recently. We've seen Pep even linked recently. We have. We've seen Pep linked. Eddie Howe's name's been banned around the media for quite some time, hasn't it?
I think they're all...
Dougie's got a name ready. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Reveal.
Hold on,
Howe. Specs has got Gary Neville.
Eddie Howe.
No, honestly, unfinished business.
So you think Gary Neville should be the next England manager?
He's trying to get clicks, isn't it? He's trying to get followers. He's trying to get followers.
He's your guy.
He's my guy. Did you not see him? Valencia, was he?
I got him, man.
Did you see him with Valencia?
I said he's unfinished business. He's got a point to prove.
Specs, is this just because you've got to do scenes with him in a couple of weeks' time?
That's part of it too.
I think Gary would be great for.
What's the reason? Go on.
Gary Neville believes I'm a Burnley fan.
All right.
So I'm putting him forward.
Eddie Howe.
Eddie Howe, I think, is probably the obvious shout out of English managers at the moment. I think Pep Guardiola is a pipe dream. I can't imagine him managing England. He feels like much more of a club manager. He's said he wants to manage Brazil in the past, of course. But Eddie Howe, best season out of any English manager last year. Graham Potter would be another shout as well, but obviously didn't have the best time at Chelsea.
I think if Newcastle lose maybe next 2 games, he could be in trouble.
He might be available by next December.
No chance.
Do you think so?
I think that.
No.
It's possible.
If they lose their next 2 games?
Yeah, in a row. He's in trouble.
Do you not see what he done last year?
Yeah, but it's
only 4 games in.
I know what Specs means, though. It's not crazy to think that by Southgate's contract being up, which I think is December 2024, Howe might be available.
Yeah, but I think he might be available if he decides that he wants to go. I don't think he'll get sacked from Newcastle.
I mean,
hugely ambitious. If they don't do well in the Champions League, have a dip this year.
We were saying that when they took over, they're going to buy the best players in the world, but they haven't. They've bought players that fit into the system. I think Eddie Howe's he's definitely a candidate for me, but I can't see Newcastle ever sacking him. It would be his decision to move on.
I don't know. Every manager's got a shelf life. He'd have been there, 3 years at that stage? If they're not progressing how much the owners want to, I could see it. I can imagine it.
Okay, interesting debate there. Gary Neville, Eddie Howe, the two choices there.
Gary won't be happy, by the way.
I don't think Gary wants to get back into management. Shout out Gary Neville, by the way, if you're watching.